Hello everyone! We met the Irvin on the Isle of Dorn, and we repaired a bit of the coreway, which allowed us to join Speaker Brynf and go a little bit lower, a bit deeper into Azeroth, into the ringing deeps, amply named for the sounds ringing from the caverns, as the Irvin toil away. This is where they have huge, complicated machines, maintained by the so-called machine speakers, but times are changing, and their numbers are dwindling. You already learned up above that the Sundering, which was 10,000 years ago now, it presumably broke the Great Vault, the place where they would store their memories from their memory gems, but more got damaged, like their awakening machine. This is what bestows them with the life force to work for thousands of years. Each time they return to it, they would reaffirm their loyalty. Now, they've been slipping into stasis one by one, and discontent is growing. Until the machine is restored, their Irvin in stasis cannot awaken. Really interesting to consider what exactly has been given the Irvin life, what effect the Curse of Flesh might be having upon them, what reaffirming their loyalty and uploading their memories does to their personality. Could downloading memories into a memory gem make a copy of an existing Irvin? Could those falling into stasis be reawakened? What defines a soul? What knowledge could we learn if we could get the Great Vault back up and running? A whole bunch of interesting hooks and plots to dive into. Perhaps something for the future. In this moment, we join Brynf in the place where she came from, and she was sent away by the High Speaker because she wasn't reasonable. Trying to be reasonable with him, it doesn't get us anywhere, as the High Speaker is a bit pompous and self-serving, while the rest of the machine speakers, they're trying to keep the operations and machines running during these trying times. Nerubian and Skardan attacks make it all the harder. And the Skardan are enemies that also play a part on the Isle of Dorn, but their story and their history goes further back. Once upon a time, when Xal'atath was still inside of her blade, she was wielded by the Dark Iron Modgut, Queen of the Dark Irons at the time, the great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother of Dagran. She fought the Wildhammer dwarves at Grim Battle during the War of Three Hammers. During that battle, she unleashed great darkness upon the home of the Wildhammer dwarves with rituals powered by Xal'atath. But when she reached for her next, the blade had disappeared. Or, as some would claim, it had abandoned her, allowing the Wildhammers to claim victory and claim her life. As she lay dying, she repeated the same phrase over and over. "You promised." And the Queen's death would deal so much grief to her husband that he accidentally summoned Ragnaros onto Azeroth, creating Blackrock Mountain and the enslavement of the Dark Irons. While the darkness unleashed upon Grim Battle, it would evolve the Dark Irons still inside into the Skardan. Those are the ones that we know about and have primarily played a part in the novel Night of the Dragon. We did go into Grim Battle with the Cataclysm, but they used basic Trog models back then. Now we face the Skardan again, while we try to chase down Xal'atath, which has me really interested in what other plans that she has been part of, what other things has she worked on in the past that might play out now.
I remember the Dark Iron fondly. Modgud was so easy to influence, such was her hate. Imagine her fury when I abandoned her to the Wildhammer at the worst time. I can be very easy to lose. Remember that.
We clean up the initial mess, and we get Ironhall Station up and running. The city of Gundargaz is a bit empty, with all the Irvin going into stasis, vanishing, or running overtime to keep things going. If the High Speaker is not going to list the reason, then perhaps we can help out here and there, get the other machine speakers on our side. Asking around what we can do, it reveals that the High Speaker has been distracted, kobolds are on the attack, shipments are missing from Taelloch, and the Irvin aren't returning from their shifts. Plenty to do. Let's begin with the kobolds, who are making use of the Irvin's decline. Not all of them are hostile monsters though. Many actually want peace, Skidder the kobold tells us. But the Kendo King is crazy, forcing kobolds into war. If we can get rid of the king, then perhaps the kobold raids will stop. So, we retake the lost mines, slaying the kobolds and taking the candles. Less candles would make the king look weak, and bullies that look weak get killed. Before the kobolds managed to take the mine, they used to live in a great city called the Warrens, but the king's bullies run it now. We bring freedom to the oppressed kobolds and offer them peace, offer them a place to live with us. We'll still need a symbol of hope to rally the people behind one banner, an ancient relic called the Kendo Crown. It is the heart of their people, but the Candle King tossed it to the side in favor of his new prize, the Dark Flame Candle, which might explain why he's been so hostile. We sneak in, using the darkness to our advantage, and get the crown for Skidder. No longer shall these kobolds have to serve under the yoke of their false Candle King. Now they can live with us in Gundargaz and help clean up the place, share stories of their people, fight the good fights, and stay in the lights.
You know, take candle.
Back in town, the High Speaker is finally listening to the voices of his people, as he's not shown his face around here for years now, and they have concerns. Are we preparing for more Nerubian attacks? The number of working machinists is insufficient. Why haven't we heard more about Taelloch? Now the Irvin above have already taken care of the Nerubians, the High Speaker says, and the number of workers. All the more reason to restore their awakening machine. Taelloch is currently being investigated, and we'd be wise to avoid the place. Again, we hear these rumors. The town and its mine are responsible for ore production. No shipment's been received in weeks, and the town's foreman has disappeared. Now the High Speaker is actively discouraging anyone from traveling there. All the more reason to check it out. With Dagrand and Magni on our side, while Moira goes back up to speak with the council. Dagrand has learned a lot from reading his books and scrolls, but working in the field is quite a different challenge. Whereas our speaker Magni, he has lost all his shine after saving the worlds.
I got no counsel for you. No advice.
Taelloch is seemingly abandoned, but recently, as there are still drinks and tools around, a slate has info on it, a request for more workers. Is this because of the Irvin shutting down? Are they disappearing, or are they changing? Muffling, growling, and screams can be heard, so we force our way in, and we find an abomination. We witness the final stage of a corrupted Irvin transforming into a monstrous Skardin. The commotion triggers an outbreak of Skardin and Taelloch, and while the cutscene isn't available yet, Magni's description, it's got me super excited. I knew that Skardin were turning Irvin into more Skardin, which I presume is something that we're gonna see during our Isle of Dorn questing, but I didn't expect the crystal, the spike, the roiling blue energy, that smell. We can't let this corruption spread, so we kill the Skardin while getting more info written down by the missing foreman. Foreman Brunkrag, work shift 81.4. Workers of Taelloch, as your foreman, I have met with the High Speaker in secret. The outcome was not what I expected. I have been altered, perhaps even chosen. Work shift 81.5. Change is coming, workers. Hordes of Skardin stir within the Hall of Awakening. Taelloch could be next. Barricade your doors, but be not afraid. We will press on. Signed, Foreman Brunkrag. Work shift 81.6. Workers, the circle has turned. Can you hear it? The ringing. The ringing. The music is eternal. My mind is sane because the water flows through the ages. The itching, it itches. I can taste the sounds. Revelation awaits. Signed, Brunkrag. No longer the foreman trying to look out for the workers. Just Brunkrag now hearing the ringing. Is it the ringing of the deeps? The ringing of the song that Illyria heard? The ringing of Azeroth herself? Ring-a-ding, who knows? But her visit to the High Speaker left her quite affected. The last slate with no work shift says, still time, truth, in memory. The ringing will lock away. Deepest cavern for darkest memory. Don't, speaker, ringing, don't let destroy. And it's the deepest cavern, the back of Taelloch mine, where we find the foreman. No longer an Irvin, but a big old monstrosity. Infection, remorse. We have no other choice but to put her out of her misery. The truth could be found in memory, in her memory gem left behind to show us what happened and what she saw. Now, we are talking about the War within Alpha, so I'm going to assume that you're open to spoilers, but I do want to give you one final heads up. We are about to get some major revelations and major events in 3, 2, 1. Turns out that Xal'atath has spoken with High Speaker Eirik and offers to repair their awakening machine with her artifact, which I assume means the Dark Hearts. It will be perfect, she promised. Your struggle, your suffering will be at an end. All will awaken because of you. Cut, do not record. Is there a price you wouldn't pay? Your people will be restored, reborn, improved, and they will laud you as their savior. Yes. Yes. All Irvin will awaken, even if it means awakening a Skardin. The High Speaker has become so desperate to go back to the edicts, to make things function again, that they are willing to pay any price to accept Xal'atath's bargain. In turn, Xal'atath seems to have used the Dark Heart, her artifact that sucked out the corruption of Galagrond, a corruption originating from the old god Yogg-saron, in order to facilitate more of the Skardin here, very similar to how Yogg-saron himself, once upon a time, manipulated Keeper Loken, infected a Forge of Wills with the original Curse of Flesh. Did she get all that void juice that she needed from the corpse of Galagrond? Or has she in the meantime visited other places? Places like Grimbatol? That's story to be revealed. Now thanks to Foreman Brunkrag, we now know what's been going on here, and the High Speaker must pay. Moira has also returned with backup. The allies made up above have come to join the fight down below. Our Cobalt allies are ready to lend their support. Help us push through the Irvin works and confront the High Speaker within the Halls of Awakening. We grab ourselves a key to get inside, slay any loyal to him, including Supervisor Vari. Their combat suits will do us just fine to wipe out the remaining forces. The Ringing Deeps should definitely be safer. Time to follow Brynf into the Halls of Awakening. Moira, Magni and Dagran are at our side. Our young scholar is quite gifted at opening up doors, while his mother packs a punch with both the light and the void. Magni knows a thing or two about delving into ancient Titan facilities, while all around us, mad, scarred and corrupted Irvin are awakening. A massive army for Xal'atath should we fail to stop the High Speaker, who in his mind believes to be saving his people. Better to live as Skardin than to die as Irvin. The conclusion of this story is kept within an in-game cinematic movie instead of just an action cutscene, which is still to be implemented, but they did give us a description. They tell us what happens. Magni sacrifices his infused crystalline energies to cleanse the void corruption of the Irvin within the Awakening Chamber. In the aftermath, he appears as a lifeless statue. Moments later, the shell breaks. We see he is restored to being flesh and bone again. Reunited with his daughter and grandson, he greets the first Irvin to awaken from the machine. The King of Diamonds felt abandoned at the end of Battle for Azeroth. His role as speaker had been fulfilled. And yet, what was he supposed to do then? He couldn't even feel the touch of his kin, so he became bitter and isolated. I still wonder how awkward it was when everybody just slowly abandoned him in the Chamber of the Heart. But now his flesh has returned. His crystalline form sacrificed to repair the machine. Hard to say if that means we no longer have a speaker. He does still have the title, but Alpha will be Alpha.
I'm speaking for no one these days.
Now the Awakening machine is operational again, so I guess that we can get to work on repairing the Irvin still functioning, craft ourselves some brand new units. Curious if we will be able to bring back those that have shut down, and if we can get the Great Vault functioning as well, but definitely a job well done so far. A family reunited, the Irvin saved, and a zone brought together. The former High Speaker runs off into the Stone Vault, where it looks like discarding corruption takes hold of him as well. We finish him off during the dungeon. Brynf is selected to become the new High Speaker, and then we're invited to join Edelgard and Anduin into the next zone, into Hollowfall, where there are supposedly a Raffi that came a few years before us. But that's the story to be discovered in the next build. So for now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Subscribe if you like my videos, leave a like if you enjoyed this one. And until next time, see ya!